friends, welcome back to our final show of 2024. I'm very glad and grateful that you are here and with us. We've covered a lot of ground in 2024, but we're not done yet. And we're glad that you're here. We got business to attend to today. On the docket, we've got some Canada news because Justin Trudeau is having a difficult time. Actually, a group of people from his own party, the majority, I believe, sent a letter over to Justin saying we have no confidence for you. And so we'll go through that. We'll see what's happening there. We also have this hack that took place at our Treasury Department. What are they going to steal? Our debt? What do you want? Our IOUs that we don't have? I don't know what they took, but apparently the Chinese did it. And there's some questions about whether the Chinese did it or whether the Chinese did it, you know? And it's like a bunch of people from Joe Biden's administration manipulating the code, changing the ones and the zeros. So we'll see. We'll go through it. Not ideal to have China hacking our Treasury Department. We'll talk about it. Then we've also got some updates out of Trump world, a little bit of a cabinet update from the Trump people, because what we're seeing is that Susie Wiles reportedly gagged everybody, told the whole cabinet, you're not allowed to post anything on the interwebs without our approval or our permission. And I wonder why that is. I wonder if somebody was posting something that irked somebody in the inner campaign. And so we got updates. We'll take a look at what RFK is doing. Rubio. We'll see what people are saying about Tulsi Gabbard, because as soon as Trump is sworn in, coming up soon, they're going to jump right into those confirmation hearings. And so we want to see where they stand. We got updates on that. And then we'll close out the day talking about the 2024 top 10 hoaxes. Top 10 2024 hoaxes. And there were a lot of them. But we also have the 2024 biggest loser. And so want to see what you think about those. Who do you think the biggest loser is of 2024? Coming up, we've got an article and a couple of videos from Trump posted over there on True Social. And so we've got a nice stream planned today, my friends. Happy New Year's Eve, the final day. Happy New Year starting on midnight, wherever it is you are. We're going to come back tomorrow. We're going to have another New Year's Day stream. We like to book in the year, make sure we're here closing it out, and we're going to start it off beautifully tomorrow. And so thanks for joining us when we're back here tomorrow, as we say our hellos for a brand new year. In 2024, man, it's been busy. We've had some ups and downs for sure, but it ended pretty nicely, I will say. So we've got some good stuff to attend to today. Now, before we jump into it, I want to invite you, if you are somebody who wants to come and join us for the Watcher Watch Party, it's happening. Yesterday, I said that we were going to save the date. Well, you can now get a ticket. If you want to come join us, go to watcherlodge.com. I have confirmed with the venue, given them the old credit card number. And so it's a nice venue. We've got a huge screen. And so we're going to have a watch party there in Scottsdale, Arizona. If you want to grab a ticket, we're going to have a brunch or a lunch. I still don't know what the catering costs are, so the tickets might go up. Right now, they're $100 to cover your food and your admission, and it's going to be great. And I've been to this place multiple times. It's a beautiful screen. We're going to be able to mix and mingle, hang out with a bunch of people from the Watcher fam. And if you're also coming in from out of town, there's Barrett Jackson that's happening that week. So there's a lot of other stuff to do here if you don't want to just fly in for our Watcher meetup. But we're going to be watching the inauguration in person, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Scottsdale on January 20th, Monday. So come celebrate with us in Scottsdale. It's going to be a ton of fun. Weather's going to be beautiful, and I'll be there. The fam will be there, and we're working on getting some extra special guests to come and join us, including some people from Genius and elsewhere. It'll be a ton of fun. So grab your tickets, $100. Everybody needs to, if you want to join, everybody should create an account on Local. Super easy. Just, make a membership so you can see who the other members are, and we can enhance the fibrous connective tissue of our fam. So go over there, join the lodge, grab a ticket, and we'll see you there. And the tickets may go up. Okay. I don't even know what the catering is going to cost, but so if you come back next week and they're $125 or $150, Well, that's just what we have to do. But so check it out, watcherlodge.com. It's going to be amazing. All right. And now, my friends, without any further ado, let's get into business on the day. The Treasury Department got hacked. That's what Reuters is reporting. They got a letter that came over from Yellen and co. at the Department of Treasury to two ranking members in Congress. We'll read through this saying, we kind of done goofed on this one. But Reuters is reporting this, saying Chinese hackers stole documents in a major incident. That's their words, not mine. Here's the report saying Chinese state-sponsored hackers breached the Treasury Department's computer security guardrails this month and stole documents in what the Treasury is calling a major incident. That's according to the letter that we'll look at. They compromised third-party cybersecurity service provider called Beyond Trust. Yeah, they are beyond trust, that's for sure. And were able to access unclassified documents, said the letter. Now, according to the letter, hackers, quote, gained access to a key used by the vendor to secure the cloud. We'll read through it. The Treasury Department said it was alerted to the breach by Beyond Trust on December 8th, working with CISA and the FBI to assess the hack. Treasury officials didn't immediately respond to an email seeking further details about the hack, and the FBI did not immediately respond to Reuters' requests either. CISA didn't want to talk about it either, and they said, go talk to the Treasury Department. Right? So you follow the circle, just kind of going in loops here. A spokesperson for the Chinese embassy in Washington said, we didn't do that. We firmly oppose the U.S.'s smear attacks against China without any factual basis. They're like, you can't even catch our hackers, idiots. And we know that our government is not beyond this, by the way. Remember when they came out and lectured us and they said that Russia blew up the Nord Stream pipeline so that they could exacerbate the war with Russia? And they lied about that. They knew who blew it up, but they lied to us about it because it was useful to them politically. And so some people are postulating that perhaps what's happening is China didn't do anything and our own Treasury Department is cooking the books. They're like, oh no. A spokesperson from Beyond Trust based in Johns Creek, Georgia, told Reuters in an email, well, the company previously identified and took measures to address a security incident early December 24 involving a remote support product. Beyond Trust notified the limited number of customers who were involved, and we've been supporting the investigative efforts, so just cram it. Now, the spokesperson referred to a statement posted on the company's website that shared some details of the investigation, including that a digital key had been compromised in the incident. The investigation was underway. Now, another researcher at probably a competitor called SentinelOne said the incident fits a well-documented pattern of operations by PRC-linked groups with a particular focus on abusing trusted third-party services, a method that's becoming increasingly prominent from the people in China. And so here's what the letter says that was sent over to our Congress people, Sherrod Brown and Tim Scott. You know Tim Scott. He was in contention to be a VP nominee for President Trump until that didn't work out. And then now he's not even been nominated for anything. All right, but Tim Scott, he's the ranking member on Committee on Banking and Urban Affairs. Sherrod Brown, also on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs in the House. So the House and the Senate get this letter on one of the final days of 2024. They say, okay, dear Chairman and Ranking Member, now in accordance with the requirements of the FISM, the Federal Information Security Modernization Act, 2024, and criteria provided in other memos, this letter provides notice that the Department of Treasury has determined that a major incident occurred. On December 8, 2024, Treasury was notified by a third-party software provider called Beyond Trust that a threat actor had gained access to a key used by the vendor to secure a cloud-based service used to remotely provide technical support to Treasury Department offices and their end users. So when the government Treasury bureaucrats are like, well, why isn't my account syncing up? I don't know. Then they can remote in. With access to the stolen key, the threat actor was able to override the service's security, remotely access certain Treasury DO user workstations, and access certain unclassified documents maintained by those users. Now, Treasury has been working with CISA, the FBI, and the intelligence community, who have no intelligence at all, and third-party forensic investigators to fully characterize the incident and determine its overall impact. CISA was engaged immediately upon knowledge of this attack, and the remaining governing bodies that were contacted as soon as the scope of the attack became evident, we've done that. Now, based on available indicators, the incident has been attributed to a China state-sponsored advanced persistent threat actor. All right. Now, the compromised beyond trust service has been taken offline. At this time, there's no evidence indicating the threat actor has continued access to the Treasury Department. The investments we have made using discretionary appropriations provided under this act have helped ensure that we have a strong incident process and access to detailed logs to support our efforts. In accordance with our policies, more details will be sent your way in 30 days. So what happened? What did they take? Who knows? New York Times is also reporting, saying this comes as a pretty sensitive moment, just as the Biden White House is trying to deal with other infrastructure problems. They say one of China's intelligence agencies, they are saying it's an agency over there, hacked the Treasury Department, gained access. This is the latest in a series of embarrassing surveillance operation failures that the United States has failed to protect against. Now, it's unclear what they were seeking exactly, but senior officials with access said it appeared to be entirely an espionage operation and not part of other efforts to actually insert malicious computer code, right? The other idea, remember when we had the Iranian centrifuge hack, and how did stuff keep blowing up over there? And it's probably because Mossad or somebody else was, selling them bad chips. Don't really know. But were the Chinese trying to do that to the United States so they could just press a doomsday button and eliminate our functionality? In a letter informing the lawmakers that we read, we know that they've already had sophisticated other attacks. They've penetrated at least 9 U.S. telecoms firms. The breach exploited critical gaps in the patched-together telecoms network. They got access to text messages. And the FBI is also saying, you got to be very careful now when you're using two-factor authentication with your texts because they're in the inner tubes of the comms networks. So not working out all that well. Meanwhile, we have the Federalist is reporting that China is rapidly building up weapons and psychological warfare operations, which is great, in addition to flying balloons over our heads. Here is their report saying the PRC is undertaking an unprecedented military buildup aimed at challenging America, which is why we need Panama, Canada, and Greenland. The 2024 DoD China Military Power Report and a recent analysis by Bill Gertz in the Times reveals a buildup is part of a broader strategy. Meanwhile, the U.S. spent $5.4 trillion on the global war on terror for what? They've also got missile expansion and strategic modernization, saying China has rapidly expanded their arsenal. 50 new ICBMs, 300 medium-range missiles, 600 operational nuclear warheads, hypersonic missiles that can evade U.S. missile defenses. China's Navy is already the largest in the world, expected to grow even bigger, 370 ships up to 435 by 2030. And we're still trying to figure out our pronouns as our aging boats do laps in the sea. Cognitive warfare and psychological operations coming soon, if you haven't already experienced it, and you have. Beyond its conventional forces, China's adoptions of cognitive warfare is also a significant threat. Focuses on manipulating the information of people. Cognitive warfare includes AI tools, deepfakes, demoralization, other things like TikTok. They've also been developing advanced voice synthesis tools for high-impact disinformation campaigns. Sun Tzu would approve. So they're working hard, and for the last 4 years, we've had nobody who's awake at the wheel. Instead, Joe Biden has been playing footsie with them repeatedly, and now we see that Joe was actually in a bunch of photos with his son Hunter because they were grifting off of his position of power to make Hunter and the Biden crime family a bunch of money.
Now to this, we're seeing newly released photos of then Vice President Biden and Hunter Biden meeting Chinese President Xi Jinping and his son's Chinese business partners during a 2013 trip to Beijing. The photos proving Biden lied about never discussing business with his son.
I did not know he was on the board, of that company. I've never discussed my business or their business, my sons or daughters. I never discussed a single thing with my son about anything having to do with Ukraine. I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings. I have never discussed with my son or my brother or anyone else anything having to do with their businesses, period.
Never.
No, he said never. Could this be the reason why the president issued a blanket pardon to his son right before leaving office?
Yeah, it is. And it's the other reason why Joe Biden is still giving billions to Ukraine. Okay, yesterday here, we thought, oh, they gave another $2.5 billion to Ukraine as our budget is cratering and Donald Trump is going to come in with a negative bank account because they're funneling money out hand over fist as quickly as they can, like kids ransacking a candy store. We know that they already sent $2.5 billion, but then Yellen came out and announced another $3.4 billion in budget aid. That brings the total to $5.9 billion going over to Ukraine in the final days, in the final day and a half of the year on December 30th. And they're doing it specifically because Trump is coming into office soon enough and the grift needs to continue. Is this going to be dispositive for the war? No. So they're just trying to front load it because Trump's going to come in and end it. And so the grifters need to continue to grift because Joe is caught up in Ukraine with Hunter at Burisma, with the fired prosecutor. And so now the final payoff is being made at the expense of America. Joe Biden couldn't be gone fast enough. We can't wait for the new year to be here. All right, so that's the update on China. Now let's talk about Trump and his cabinet. Trump's cabinet gagged by the Trump campaign itself and the new incoming administration, saying Trump's team orders all intended nominees to stop posting on social media ahead of Senate confirmations because you might say something stupid. And we're not going to allow it to happen. The report comes over from the Post. Diana Gliboyeva says the following, says that the chief of staff, Susie Wiles, who ran a heck of a campaign, knows what she's doing, sent a message on Sunday ordering nominees, don't you post on social media. From posting any social media as Senate confirmations are scheduled to start next week. Now, while this instruction has been delivered previously, she said, I am reiterating that no member of the incoming administration or the transition speaks for the United States or the president-elect himself, she wrote in a memo that the Post got. And I wonder who got everybody in trouble. Like, what was it, RFK? Was it RFK? Was he out there? Seed oils. And then they're like, dang it, Bobby! How many times? You got to run that crap by us. I don't know. So we'll take a look. We got RFK and others coming up. But accordingly, all intended nominees should refrain from any public social media posts without prior approval of the incoming White House counsel, said Susie Wiles. I don't know who it was. The first ever female chief of staff, nicknamed the Ice Maiden? Man, that's awesome. That's her nickname? That's pretty cool. Ice Maiden Susie. That's cool. Man, I wish I had a cool nickname like that. Also noted that she appreciates how enthusiastic everyone is about joining the second Trump term in her otherwise frank directive. Did she sign it, Ice Maiden? I hope so. It's amazing. Trump's nominees have been silent ahead of what is expected to be a fraught process for some in the GOP-controlled Senate. And can I just also say, I've noticed this. I'm trying, I'm here scraping for news. I'm like, what are these people saying? Can somebody say something interesting so we have something fun to talk about? And I go and I look at their social media posts and it's like this. It's like Bobby. This is Bobby. Okay. He's like, hey, we went skiing today, which is great. Like, I'm glad they went skiing, but they're all kind of bland. It's like, all right, who are you going to prosecute first for poisoning America? Like, it's kind of what I'm looking for. And he's like, we went skiing. I'm like, that's great. Looks like a nice family and all that. But who's going to jail? When is Fauci getting indicted is kind of what we're looking for. So they're being very cautious. I understand it. Okay. The Wiles memo, according to the Trump transition source, is not in response to the recent social media ruckus. Oh, it's Doge. Oh, no. Department of Government Efficiency chairs Musk and Vivek. They busted it over their H-1B visas that had MAGA world spinning, which I think is largely petering out at this point. But that was certainly a whirlwind. Now, Doge is not an official entity, despite its name, does not need Senate confirmation, meaning the tech moguls are free to convey their opinions online. So maybe they're not part of the gag. It was clearly they're not part of the gag. It was a reminder of the guidance to intended nominees as a confirmation hearing gets underway next week, because confirmation hearings are what the other official nominees are going to have to sit through. Vivek and Elon are not. Several of Trump's cabinet picks have faced scrutiny in recent weeks. Former Gates shelved his nod. Tulsi in the House. Other picks needing confirmation have also held on. Hegseth facing a wave of criticisms. RFK Jr. and Tulsi and Ratcliffe. All nominees have been in closed-door discussions with senators on Capitol Hill in recent weeks, including some Democrats, to whip up support. Even Hegseth, whose confirmation was on thin ice due to some GOP reservations, has since received backing from Joni Ernst. Ooh. And Defense Secretary designee Hegseth has been slamming critics as well as anti-Christian bigotry in the media for his symbols of tattoos and so on. So, I don't know. Who got in trouble? Was it RFK? Here's RFK. Merry Christmas, RFK. Team Trump, Huckabee. He talked with Graham. Okay. All right, he's not in trouble. It's like we're going around to the kids' rooms. All right, let me see. All right, let me see what you got in there. Did you take it? Hey, RFK Jr., he's also going to have an early opportunity to influence what Americans eat. And so they're getting some nervous about this in the poison industries, because they're like, well, how can we keep pumping them full of our byproducts? RFK wants to transform Americans' eating habits. He could get a first crack at that early next year. The foundation of the iconic food pyramid might be being replaced. The guidelines are updated every 5 years, and RFK Jr. is going to come in and say, maybe you shouldn't be eating sugar constantly. By law, HHS and USDA must complete the 2025 revision of the guidelines by next year. So we might have a new food pyramid coming in, courtesy of Bobby, which we'll be looking forward to. Now, in addition to Bobby, we're asking, did Tulsi get everybody in trouble? No, she's posting sunshine photos. So I don't think it was her. She says, early morning hike to this stunning sunrise. It's a beautiful sunrise, no doubt. And Elon saying, can you please be more positive on here? We're tired of all this knifing of each other. Please post beautiful or informative content on this platform. And so it's a beautiful hike from Tulsi. But I don't think she's the one who got anybody in trouble. Let's see who else we have. Tulsi also posted this because Representative Mike Waltz, who's on the Senate Armed Services Committee, was talking about this right before the Christmas break.
How will you work with your colleagues in a whole of government approach on this? You wanted to say something about Tulsi Gabbard, about Pete Hegseth. Tell me about that. Do you have confidence that they will be approved and confirmed?
Maria, President Trump is putting an amazing team out there, and I've worked with a number of them personally. I've worked with Tulsi Gabbard on the Armed Services Committee, where we have to pass a defense bill to support our troops every single year. Huge issues, everything from health care for our soldiers to PTSD to what weapon systems they have. She's also a reservist. And we know when we put that uniform on, when we step into these positions, you leave your opinions at the door. Especially as DNI, it's about presenting intelligence and options to the president, and also holding our intelligence community to account. Why were we so surprised in Syria, for example? Those are the things I know she'll take a tough look at, and I just couldn't be more supportive and encouraged and excited about who I'm going to get to work with to further President Trump's agenda.
Yeah, they weren't surprised, okay? They know what is happening, and they're orchestrating all of it around the world. So that's why we're looking forward to Tulsi getting in power. Now, was it Kristi Noem? I don't think so. She just posted about Carter. She says Carter's life was one of steadfast service, marked by humility and grace. In this moment, may his family find peace and comfort, period. All right, that's nice. Here's one from Rubio. It's Rubio. Did he do it? No, he's also talking about Carter. Says Carter lived a life of service that extended well beyond his presidency. He was a servant leader who felt called to action. As we reflect on his life, I hope we can channel his faith to better our communities and our nation. Jeanette and I have President Carter's family in our prayers. May he rest in peace. From It's Rubio. Rubio also said, our hearts go out to the Korean people. He's already doing a little State Department-ing, as you can see. We share in your grief over the tragic loss of that 179 people on that horrifying plane crash. And if you saw that, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't see it, you don't need to see it. But it was horrific. We extend our deepest condolences to the families and the loved ones amid this immeasurable pain. Our prayers are with you and your great nation. And we'll double down on that. Shout out to our Korean friends over there. That was horrific. And we pray for those lost souls. Now, we also got other updates out there because Jim Jordan came out with a new congressional list of people who are going to be serving in the new Congress. Just the News reporting that Jim Jordan on Monday announced who's going to be leading the subcommittees. Jordan is going to be the chairman, while Rep. Raskin will be the ranking member on Judiciary. Ugh. Raskin previously worked as the ranking member on House Oversight. Now, the chairman announced 7 House Judiciary subcommittees for the next Congress. Here's what we've got coming out of Jim Jordan's committee. Here we got. Chairmen for the committees are a subcommittee on Constitution and Limited Government and a subcommittee on crime and federal government surveillance. All right. So Wisconsin Representative Scott Fitzgerald is going to, we have a new subcommittee, Administrative State, Regulatory Reform, and Antitrust, or maybe it was existing. Chip Roy, going to be on Constitution and Limited Government. Daryl Issa is going to be on courts, intellectual property, AI, and the internet. Andy Biggs from Arizona is going to be on crime and federal government surveillance. Tom McClintock, California, immigration, integrity, security, and enforcement. And Representative Jeff Van Drew is going to be heading up oversight. And so that's going to be who we're dealing with for the foreseeable future coming out of the Judiciary Committee. This was the official announcement from the Judiciary. You see the same names listed there, but we've got a big battle that's going to be taking place in the House. The budget, the debt. Biden and Yellen and the Democrats are draining the bank accounts as we speak. We just saw they gave $5.9 million to Ukraine because why? So when Trump comes in, there's not going to be any wiggle room. Okay. You need some money to do some things. It's like if you get handed, right, you come in, you here, this is your house now, but there's problems everywhere. So you have to fix things before you can even do anything on your own agenda, right? You bleed them out in the budget. They don't have money to operate. So that's happening right now. Now, why the debt fight is going to be even worse? Well, it's because on January 1st, the debt limit comes back because Kevin McCarthy's a moron and couldn't figure this out back then when he was trying to pass the budget. And Republicans are divided on how to handle the cliff after the House shot down Trump's plan. So Trump's coming in and they're going to have to figure this out immediately, and it's going to be a fight. GOP leaders are staring down 2 bad options now after failing to do anything about this. One path requires full buy-in from Republican lawmakers via budget reconciliation. A huge challenge because we've got some fiscal hawks, and the other entails winning over Democrats, which would raise the debt limit. So you got to either get the fiscal hawks on board or get the Democrats on board. Whoever advised the president that it was even possible needs to better understand how this place works when they were saying Trump wants to raise the debt limit. It's going to be an urgent issue for Trump as soon as he enters office. The federal government will resume the cap on its borrowing authority on Jan 1. As the U.S. sits on a national debt of $36 trillion. Though the Treasury Department can buy some time, the fiscal bomb illustrates the struggle. Trump is not even in office, right? And they're setting him up to fail. The fiscal time bomb illustrates the struggle that Trump and Republican lawmakers and leaders face as they go into 2025. Rand Paul said, I've told my caucus, if they try to do it under reconciliation, they're going to lose my vote. I told them, you want to kill reconciliation? Put something on that we don't like. Going to be a huge challenge for Republicans. In exchange for increasing the debt by $1.5 trillion, House GOP leaders have told conservatives they'll look for $2.5 trillion in cuts. And the bulk of the money coming from things like SNAP nutrition, Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid in an upcoming reconciliation bill. Paul thinks he and other Senate conservatives have also told GOP leaders they won't vote for a reconciliation package, and they'll have a 53-seat majority. So Democrats say the proposal is a nightmare for Republicans, and it is. They're going to battle each other to the end on this one, and we'll see where it goes. But we know Mike Johnson is going to be at least at the helm by default because President Trump has endorsed him. Here's what Tim Burchett said about Speaker Mike Johnson.
Mike's been a good friend to me, and there's nobody more honest that I've ever dealt with in Washington. I mean, he is a fine Christian man. He's not a religious man. He's a Christian man, and he doesn't cheat on his wife. And I find that very appealing in Washington, D.C.
Wow. That's a pretty ringing endorsement. Who's he comparing him to? Kev McCarthy? Is Kev McCarthy married? Mike Johnson doesn't cheat on his wife, unlike Kevin. Kind of what he said, didn't he? All right. Anyways, yeah, it's true, though. We don't want people cheating on their wives. I mean, I don't know what that's about. Is that happening in Congress? Of course it is. So here's Johnson, who's a Christian man, explaining his position on this, talking to Kellyanne Conway. Both of them huge Ukraine fans. Let's listen to this.
Really humbled and honored to have President Trump's endorsement for Speaker again. He and I work so well together, so closely together, and we have a lot of big things to do. He recognizes that what we need right now, I think my colleagues recognize this as well, is a proven fighter and a true MAGA conservative, but also someone who can work with every single member of our very diverse House GOP so that we can get President Trump's priorities over the line. That's what's ahead of us. I think this could be the most consequential presidency and Congress of the modern era because we have to fix everything, and it has to start on day one, so we can't waste any time.
We certainly hope they do not squander this. There is a real opportunity to cause serious reform, fix a lot of problems, because they're not that complicated. We can just enforce a lot of the laws that already exist. We hope the Republicans will figure it out and not start off the Trump administration on a bad foot. We'll see if they can get it together, and the clock is ticking. All right, so now let's talk about our friends to the north who may become our 51st state here soon. Dictator Justin Trudeau in hot water. You can see a majority of his caucus is calling on him to quit. They sent a letter to him, and here is what it looks like. We'll read through the finer details on this, but people are abandoning ship, and you may have heard him get scolded while he was out skiing on vacation as Canadians are suffering. He's out there just zigzagging across the slopes, people telling him, "Get the heck out of here, punk." Now that has spread over to his caucus. Politico has some background for us, telling us that there's a majority of Trudeau's caucus now calling on him to resign. He's skiing around the slopes. Trudeau is way down in the polls, facing challenges from within his own parties. His decision comes as Canada braces for a tariff war when Trump comes into power. Now, Canadians will head to the polls in 2025, a federal election that could be triggered in late January any minute if Trudeau's foes topple the minority government when the House comes back from the holiday break. Trudeau is no longer someone who has the support of us. We'll read the letter. The missive follows a recent virtual meeting where 51 Liberal members of Parliament discussed Trudeau's leadership. After the gathering, the party's largest caucus group relayed a message to Trudeau. "Resign! We've reached a breaking point," said someone who attended the meeting, who was granted anonymity. "There's a critical mass now that has been reached," and that was not in place before. Here's what the letter looks like that was sent over to Canadians. Says, "Dear colleagues," letter coming from George Cahill, and that is this individual on X. George Cahill is a member of Parliament for Calgary Skyview, chair of the Natural Resources Committee, part of the Liberal Party. This is his personal account. He says, "Many individuals have requested copies of the emails that I sent this morning to my colleagues in the Liberal caucus and to the president of the Liberal Party of Canada. For the purposes of transparency, here's what I sent to everybody." George says, "All right, listen. I write to you during the Christmas break as we're here and time is of the essence. I have spoken with caucus colleagues and the president of the Liberal Party of Canada. Long ago, we lost the luxury of time or needless reflection. Over the last 6 months, I and others have made every effort to find an elegant way forward showing respect for history, the leader, Trudeau, the process, and our caucus. It is unfortunate, however, that our efforts, the clear message delivered in multiple by-elections by Canadians, have not resonated. Our leadership is not hearing Canadians, and many Liberals are ringing the fire alarm. Like Jamal Bowman. Over a year ago, Senator Percy Down gave sage advice based on wisdom gained from decades of political experience. Earlier in the year, Ken McDonald had the courage to speak up, and he was ostracized. 6 months ago, 8 of my colleagues joined me in asking for a national caucus meeting. I thanked them for their confidence and their integrity in standing up. Then 2 months ago, over 24 caucus members directly spoke truth to power and asked Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister, to reflect. We spoke, but there has been no change. Last week, our colleague, Chrystia Freeland, another dictator, resigned as finance ministry and deputy prime minister and released a letter of no confidence. More of our colleagues have now spoken out. Any rational individual in a position of leadership would resign. We're talking about Justin here. Any group of individuals providing advice based on data and logic would reach the same conclusion. Unfortunately, a small cabal have decided to pursue a reckless strategy of mutually assured political destruction. It's clear that the Liberal Party of Canada is not their priority. We are a party of confederation. From Laurier to Trudeau, we have contributed to building this great country. The Liberal Party of Canada is not a movement beholden to any one individual. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau no longer has the support of caucus, and to maintain some dignity, he should immediately tender his resignation. Caucus working with the Liberal Party of Canada board should start the immediate process of scheduling an expedited leadership process, which is transparent and democratic. It is an opportunity to create new energy, introduce new ideas, and test political candidates. I and other caucus members do not support a secret conclave where caucuses choose the new leader. The Liberal caucus should elect an interim leader who can lead the government over the next 60 to 75 days. I strongly encourage the board to ratify this democratic selection. Prime Minister Justin, thank you for your service, and I wish the very best for you in your future endeavors. Unfortunately, it has come to this. Sincerely, your friend, George. Well, he says also, Sachet, time is of the essence. Thank you for the time over the holidays. So that's one that apparently he sent to his colleagues. Then he sent another one to this dude, Sachet. He says, hey, Sachet, man, time is of the essence here. Thank you for taking the time over the holidays to discuss the Liberal Party of Canada's strategy for a potential leadership race. Assuming the Prime Minister, Justin, resigns as leader in the near future, I appreciate your accessibility and your transparency. I have had a chance to review the Constitution and the bylaws of the LPC and have received significant legal counsel as well. It seems clear that the LPC board has the authority, subject to a significant majority of the board being in favor, to vary the governing rules if political circumstances warrant. I don't like how this sounds. We get to do whatever we want. I mean, they're going to kind of do whatever they want to get rid of Justin. That's fine. But I've looked, and we've got legal counsel. It's clear. We do have the authority. So we can do it. All right, well, I don't know. As we are in the final year prior to a fixed election in a minority situation where the other parties have indicated they may defeat the federal government, I would urge the board to immediately plan for a leadership regardless of his formal resignation. Okay, so if Justin Trudeau doesn't leave, we're going to come up with a plan to throw him out. And we figured it out because I talked to lawyers about this. Now, it's my view that it would be political negligence by the board not to plan for this race. It is clear now the leader of the Liberal Party no longer has the confidence of his caucus and the vast majority of Canadians. On a final note, I appreciate the burden of responsibility on the members of the LPC board. I know your comments are mindful of public scrutiny that the race will draw. I want to thank members of the board in advance for making sure we have a transparent, inclusive, and democratic process that Liberal supporters will enthusiastically embrace coast to coast to coast. With gratitude, George Cahill. So sounds like they mean business. He's like, hey, listen, I've already talked to the legal team. They said we can do this. I don't know, so we're going to do it. And they're doing it. There is no majority for Justin, and it looks like the polls have already found the replacement. Pierre Poilievre, 92% chance on Polymarket being the next prime minister of Canada. And we remember Pierre Poilievre and how he communicates to the press, sipping water, eating apples, and blasting Justin Trudeau. Here's Pierre.
Ethel Musa with CBC News. And Mr. Poilievre, if you could also answer this question in French as well as English. The government is coming out with a $1.3 billion plan to address border security. Do you think that's enough to stop Trump's tariffs? And if it was up to you, how much specifically would you spend on border security? What number would you put on it?
Well, you ask a classically CBC question, which is how much money can you spend on a problem? Well, that's the wrong question. That's exactly the question Trudeau has been asking for 9 years. It's the reason he's doubled our debt while making everything worse. You know, for example, he spent $80 billion on housing affordability. Well, how'd that work? He doubled housing costs. He spent $60 million on his gun confiscation. 0 guns. He spent millions on a school food program that hasn't served a single solitary meal. So we should not judge a program based on how expensive we can make it. We should judge it by what it can do. How many helicopters? How many drones? How many boots on the ground? That's the question I will be asking when I'm prime minister. And how do we deliver it for the lowest possible price to taxpayers? Wouldn't it be nice if we had a prime minister who said, we secured the borders, we put more boots on the ground, we stopped tons and tons of fentanyl from traveling back and forth, we arrested the terrorists, we shut down the organized crime, we reduced gun crime, and by the way, we did it with less tax dollars.
Whoa!
That's how our mentality has to change. We have to stop judging politicians by how expensive they can make things and start judging them by the results they get. You went into a restaurant and had a terrible experience. The food was awful. You got food poisoning. The service was bad. You wouldn't walk out and say, but it was great because it cost me $1,000. And because it's the most expensive restaurant around, it must be the best. No.
And I like to go back.
Judge the meal by the food on the plate and the service that delivered it.
And the reason the food was so crappy is because you're not paying enough money. Maybe if you paid a little bit more than $1,000, you get a better meal. Then you pay $2,000 and your meal gets crappier. It's even worse. So that's Pierre Poilievre. You guys can keep correcting me on that. I'm pretty sure I'll never get it. I think I've tried every permutation of that name ever, and it's wrong every single time. So I'll keep working on it, but thank you for the corrections. But here is someone else who's going to Canada, from Canada, who's going to try to enmesh our two countries together. Here is this clip from Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful.
Kevin, we understand you're headed to Mar-a-Lago to meet with President-elect Trump. You have said you want to broker a deal that will create an economic union between the U.S. and Canada. Is that right?
Yes, there's no reason to be fighting. We've been talking about this for decades, and I think the time is right. What I did, and I've been doing this now for about 48 hours, and I'm getting a lot of feedback from the Canadian public. I enjoy a very large social media following there. So I said to them, look, what deal do you want? And they definitely don't want to give up their sovereignty, but they really want to explore this idea of an economic union because Canada, but you think about the 40 million people, size of California, unlimited resources, unlimited power, unlimited gas, unlimited water, unlimited lumber, unlimited everything. And they're not stupid. They're thinking, wait a second, what if we had free trade east, west, north, south? And we put all our resources in instead of squabbling on our own border between Canada and the United States and put all that money up into protecting ourselves against the Chinese and the Russians up north. That all makes sense to Canadians. They just don't want to give up their sovereignty, just like somebody born in Louisiana doesn't want to be born somewhere else. They want to say, look, I was born in Calgary, whatever. But the way to solve for that is a passport, no different than the EU. Any American get it, any Canadian can get it, get the background check. They're starting to like that idea a lot more than the idea of selling out the whole country.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what kind of headway he can make with the president-elect. I feel like he would be open to something like that.
But what benefit is America getting? That's what we want to also confirm. Like, that sounds great for Canadians. Like, you get access to the American markets, all the things, and it's easy coming and going. And we have a huge platform and a huge market. But how does America benefit from that? I think that was Trump's point. If the border is going to be open and we're going to have a trade imbalance, we're not going to make that simpler unless it provides some sort of an economic benefit for the United States. That's the whole point. 25% tariff to even the score because the country's being exploited. Facilitating that so that we are analogous to some type of EU, which I believe has been a disaster as far as we can tell. I don't know what the EU does other than need our money to stop Russia from invading their continent. So I don't know what it does. But anyways, same with NATO. I don't know what the hell they're doing. It feels like the US is still everything for whatever reason. Well, we're tired of being that without some recompense for this. So that might be a nice idea, Kevin O'Leary, but what does America get from this?
I think he's a great negotiator, and he throws out these outlandish ideas, and then what falls through the cracks is the winning stuff. I really think the two countries should get together, and I'm licking my chops at the opportunity of being involved because right now we've got a leadership that's collapsing. Justin Trudeau is on his way out, so for the next 5 months, there's a void in Ottawa. As I like to say, thank goodness I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what benefits we're going to get. I mean, are we going to go drill up there and get all that oil shale or what's going on? We'll see. But we're open to the conversation, and Kevin O'Leary is going to be engaging in it. So Trudeau on the way out. Pierre maybe coming in next. We'll keep our eye on this, but good riddance to the dictator who wrecked his country relatively quickly, and we have been here chronicling it from afar, talking about the Freedom Trucker convoy and a lot of the other COVID madness that's been happening there, the gun confiscation and more. We care about our friends to the north. We share this beautiful continent together. We want all people to be part of liberty and freedom. And so if Trudeau is going to be an impediment to that, we're happy to see him go. All right, and now, my friends, one final update on the day, and then we're going to hear from you. The top 10 media hoaxes perpetrated by our disgusting press in 2024. We're going to go through this article courtesy of our friends at the Federalist. 10 of them. We're also going to ask, who is the biggest political loser in 2024? We've got that story coming up next. And also a reaction from President Trump, who's posted 2 videos. One, this highlight reel from the incompetent Biden administration, and a contrast of that with Trump's Make America Great Again video on this final day of 2024. And so we celebrate the closing of the year, which was tumultuous at times, but ultimately victorious. We've got an incoming administration that's going to reverse and dismantle a lot of the corruption that we've lived through over these last 4 disgusting years. But these are the top 10 hoaxes that people like this woman on CNN have tried to peddle over these past years. Sean Fleetwood writes this article at Sean Fleetwood on X. He says, Americans have lived through a lot of this stuff, a lot of hoaxes. Russia collusion, very fine people, and more. But like years before, 2024 was no different. Here are some of the biggest hoaxes from our loser media that we saw. Number 1, the Bloodbath hoax. Remember when Trump was talking in March about Bloodbath? He was speaking to rally goers at the time. He said that the U.S. automobile industry would face an economic bloodbath if Democrats won the White House. Then the media went bananas. They took it. They said, Trump is promising everyone's going to die. Okay, all of his supporters are going to cause a literal bloodbath. Remember? Lunatics. Left-wing outlets like NBC News, New York Times, and others, they actually ran headlines like that. Here was one headline. Trump says country faces a bloodbath if Biden wins in November. Politico losers. There was also a war on SCOTUS. While Democrat mouthpiece ProPublica started a media war with the Supreme Court, the New York Times took it to a whole new level. In May, New York Times fabricated a controversy about an upside-down American flag at the home of Justice Alito. His wife likes to raise flags, but despite claims of ethics violations, the legal correspondent, Margot Cleveland, who's amazing, who researched judicial ethics, noted that this was an attempt to smear and that the newspaper of record did nothing on this. It was actually just a regular old flag that was nothing controversial at all. And so they made it nuts. So they also then, this was perhaps the biggest, hiding Biden's cognitive decline. Videos were showing that Biden was totally gone, and they lied constantly about it. And in fact, Trump posted about this. Here is a media montage of all the liars explaining just how competent Joe Biden really was.
Does the president have the stamina, physically and mentally, do you think, to continue on even after 2024?
Don, you're asking me this question. Oh my gosh, he's the president of the United States. You know, I can't even keep up with him.
The most difficult part about a meeting with President Biden is preparing for it.
Because he's so smart.
Because he is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
I can testify because I've been working very closely with this president for the past 2 years. I've been knowing him for 30 years. And I'm telling you, this guy's tough. He's smart. He's on his game.
Joe Biden has vision. He has knowledge. He has a strategic thinker.
The president is focused. He's detail-oriented. He's always thinking about the big picture.
He is engaging. He is capable. He has an incredible record as president.
And I'm often with him on foreign trips. He's at the top of his game.
So he has a vision. He has knowledge. He has judgment. He has a strategic thinking.
I met with the president, 5 or 6 weeks ago, and he seemed fine to me.
I have complete confidence in the president.
Total.
I have watched
that was
him
April.
expertly
Look, in April,
guide,
April 16th.
Meetings of staff and cabinet members. I could not have more confidence in the president.
I would just tell you that I meet frequently with the president, and every single time I meet with him, he is just fine.
But he is, again, knowledgeable, wise.
Incredibly sharp, incredibly probing, incredible command of the details.
He is sharp.
Liars, man.
He is on top of things.
They lied to us for years. Lied. Look, 68% of Americans say Biden is too old. So they were shoving that down everybody's gullet for years. That was a huge hoax. Project 2025. They couldn't actually run against Trump's policies because everybody liked his policies. And now they had to create a second red herring and then attribute that to him. And that obviously didn't work for him. What about a border czar? Remember after Kamala Harris got named the border czar officially, and they actually wrote about it, Axios called her that, said that she was the border czar, then they reversed it. Well, it wasn't an official title. We didn't actually see that in writing or anything. They wrote the title, the headline, Trump's Arlington Cemetery visit. You remember this one? They said that Trump was trying to tarnish the memories of our fallen soldiers. But that didn't work out so well for them because the media hoax, people responded to that. They blasted Kamala Harris for saying he was trying to exploit a visit to Arlington. There was also this one. Legacy media said that Trump called millions of Americans, or actually Biden called millions of Americans garbage. They said, no, he wasn't calling the people garbage. He was saying it was a stutter and that people who were doing bad things were actually garbage, which is not true. Joe called us garbage. They also were talking about Liz Cheney's comments, number 8 in the biggest hoaxes. One of the biggest ones was Trump and his remarks about Cheney. Let's put her with a rifle, standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy, Trump said. Then they came out, remember this? Trump wants Liz shot 9 times in the face. That's not what he said. He said that maniacs like Liz, who will send other people's kids to die, should think twice about it. In the wake of that, they were hyperventilating and saying that was a big problem for Trump. Turns out it wasn't, because people recognize we're tired of sending our blood overseas to die for what? What assassination attempts? Remember how they just forgot about it? Remember they burned Matthew Crooks' body within 10 days? Same day that Congress announced their bipartisan committee to investigate it, his body was already incinerated, ashes. So you're not doing any DNA confirmation that that was actually him, or you're not able to draw hair samples to see if he was plied full of LSD. You can't do another blood sample. You can't check anything, okay? Evidence is gone. They shredded it. After a longtime Democrat donor tried to kill Trump, everyone covered it up. They called it an incident, not even a big deal. It was totally dishonest. They said shrapnel hit him in the face. Even the FBI lied about it. The Atlantic, Hitler's hysteria as well. The last-ditch attempt to save Kamala, Jeffrey Goldberg ran another Trump loves Hitler claim. Trump loves Hitler. They kept saying it over and over and over again, but it didn't buy. Nobody bought it. So as you can see, 10 major media hoax is we survived them all, and they wrecked their credibility in the process of crying like they're playing make-believe in their Democratic fantasy land. So the next question is, who was 2024's biggest political loser? Dun, 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 dun. According to the Federalist, it's Barack Obama. And I think that's pretty accurate. A desperate, phony, and even dangerous campaign of Democrats was all being coordinated by Obama. He thought he was going to come out and do his little shtick and everybody was going to fall in line, but he failed badly. In the final months, Obama seemed to know the outcome of the election, and like all Democrats, he threw Joe out. He stood by and said nothing, but I think he actually outsourced this to George Clooney. George Clooney wrote the uncomfortable letter, and then Obama ultimately came out and rounded out the effort. Says, if that weren't crazed enough, he then trotted out Michelle to nag male voters. Remember? Michelle came out and said, so fellas, before you cast your votes, ask yourself what side of history do you want to be on? She said male rage is what could cost Democrats the election. You hear that, men? If we don't get this election right, she nagged, your wife, your daughter, your mother, we as women will become collateral damage to your rage. So are you men prepared to look into the eyes of the women and children you love and tell them that you supported this assault on our safety? Says Michelle. Can we get one of those overpaid consultants to advise her, don't call us fellas? Dude, generally speaking, Democrat men have never been accused of being too manly. That's true. But it remains a mystery as to who came up with the idea to browbeat them into voting for Kamala. If it was Obama's idea, man, he lost his magic. If it wasn't his idea, man, he lost his magic. Hope and change became do what mommy and daddy say. And he lost all of his credibility. Even guys like Rogan are like, that dude lied. He just was out there just straight lying about the Fine People hoax and other things because that's all they had left. They were losing and they were desperate. So there were also a bunch of hate crime hoaxes. Here's 21 hate crime hoaxes that were also out. A lot of these lists flying around. Racial slurs by a fan. Police charge black feminist theory PhD with theft. She was fundraising on a false brick attack. Okay. I got attacked by a brick because I'm studying black feminist theory. Oh, no, you didn't. You got charged. Illinois State University can't verify the use of a racial slur. They interviewed 47 people, reviewed hours of footage. The public university said it cannot verify anybody used a racial slur. Never happened. But in their minds, it did. Athletic departments in New York can't identify any evidence that the players also got racial slurs. They're all just fake stories. So 21 of them happening all across the country because that's how they move their voters. People are being racist. They're not actually, they just have to make it up. So the good news is, the clock is ticking on Democratic control. President Trump posted this December 31st, 2024, final day of the year, saying we're going to make America great again.
Mr. Trump has left the building.
We can now project the winner of the presidential race. Donald Trump wins the presidency. What started off as unlikely, impossible, is now reality.
I will fight for you with every breath in my body, and I will never, ever let you down.
We have a president who actually fulfilled the promises he made during the campaign, securing the border to foreign policy.
He now has a record as president.
Amazing post from the president. 2024 was a heck of a year, but we've emerged victorious, and we cannot wait for 2025, which is here in just hours. And then shortly thereafter, Trump and the Trump team will be back in the White House, and we're excited for what is to come. 2025 is going to be better than ever, and I'm excited to be here going through it with you. All right, and so my friends, it's been a beautiful final 2024 stream with you today. If you're just joining us, quick recap. We talked about China and the hack that took place in our Treasury Department, read through a letter that was sent over to Congress explaining it is, in fact, a major incident. We also had some follow-up on that, talking about China building up its arms and what the Biden administration is doing, ransacking what's left of the Treasury, sending billions of dollars overseas in the final hours. We also talked about Trump and his gagging of his entire cabinet team, asking ourselves, why are they being gagged? Maybe because they need to get confirmed, and we got to get this train roaring from day one. So Susie Wiles gagging all the Trump people. We spent some time talking about Tulsi, RFK, Kristi Noem, Marco Rubio, got an update on what the cabinet is doing, and then talked about the debt problem that is going to be landing on Trump's desk on day one, thanks to useless Republican leadership years ago. Then we talked about Justin Trudeau, who is out on the ropes at the moment, people demanding he resigns, and if he doesn't resign, his own party saying, we're just going to hold a new election anyways. So that is good news. We read through the letter showing that they have no faith in his capabilities any further. And Pierre P. might be the next prime minister, according to Polymarket. Then we talked about the top 10 biggest political hoaxes of 2024 and explained how Trump is going to make America great again in a very short time. And my friends, it's been amazing to be here with you today. Now let's see what you have to say about all of this and more. And I hope you've got some fun plans as the clock ticks away. What time is it? Oh, it's coming soon. Almost 12 hours here in Arizona. 12 and change before the clock strikes midnight. So let's see who's here and joining us And my friends, thank you for the support. Oh yes, another reminder before you head out of here, get your ticket. Come join us in person for the inauguration Watcher Watch Party in person in Scottsdale, Arizona, January 20th, Inauguration Day. We're going to be there in person. It's at a very cool venue. I've been there several times, and we're going to watch the inauguration together. The inauguration is at noon, so we're going to start at 9 a.m. We're going to have a brunch or a lunch type of thing happening. So come mix and mingle with some Watcher friends. Go to watcherlodge.com, buy a ticket, and get access, and come join us. It's going to be a ton of fun. So 20 days from now, we'll see you there in person, and I'm working on bringing some other very cool people who should be a lot of fun. So it'll be fun for you to meet them and see everybody. All right, so check it out, watcherlodge.com, links in the description below. Grab those tickets and come and join us. All right, now, my friends, let's see who is going to be joining us on the day with these very generous and appreciated donations and super chats and new membos coming in. Let's see who's here. On the day, what day is it? Tuesday. Hey, Sua Sponte. What's up, Sua Sponte? Oh, that's the wrong button. There it is. Hey, Sua Sponte. Thank you, Sua Sponte. Says, Rob, thank you, your team, and the Watchers fan for helping make sense of these crazy times we live in with your legal analysis and optimism for the future. Pray that you and your family have the best 2025 ever, and go MAGA. Sua Sponte, thank you for saying that. Happy New Year to you too. I really appreciate you being a membo. Thanks for the very generous dono. It is going to be, I'm optimistic for the future. It's going to be great. 2025, these next 4 years are going to be lit. We're going to have so much opportunity in these next 4 years. We're going to capitalize on it harder than you've ever seen, all of us here. And we're going to have a nice setup for the rest of our lives after these 4 years. We're going to do it together. It's going to be great. Glocky, the best way I've heard the visa immigration summed up, she nails it. Chinese soldier says, my lord, the rebels have breached the Western Gate and are massacring their way through the lower quarters. Our defenders have withdrawn to the Dragon Stair, and we've only bought ourselves the hour. Something I want, what is this? General So, standing over a wok, says, hey, come here for a second, though. I want you to taste this. It's true. I mean, General So's chicken's amazing. It's one of my favorites. They're going to kill us all? Here, have a bite of this chicken. You're going to love it. Hey, this old guy says, no one would ever attempt to forge this signature by our Treasury official. It's like, look at that. I didn't even notice that. Yes. Hilarious. Sincerely, Aditi, heart of heart. That's his signature. There you go. He's like, I don't want to sign this. They're like, you have to. He's like, I don't want to. Sign it. I don't want to. Somebody put a pen in his hand. He's like, ah. They forced him to sign it, right? You got hacked. You sign it. He didn't even sign it. NY says, does anyone remember the setup OI Joe had at UPenn? The office with the Chinese national CEO with adjoining offices to him. We will look back on this, and any sort of insurrection talk with Trump will be an open joke compared to what Joe Biden did and his treason. Yeah, I mean, I think the only real explanation, unless they have a better one, as to why they let the balloons come over our heads and why they don't do anything to oppose China is because Joe is owned by China. Knox, happy Monday, all. I aspire to be called an ice maiden. Yeah, I know. Knox, you are an ice maiden. I think I would put you in that category for sure. We can call you ice maiden if you want to. I mean, I think it fits you very well. In a loving way, though. I think she's referencing the Vivek Elon visa thing. You think so? I think that's what it is. Stop posting. But she's not telling Elon and Vivek, especially Elon, not to post. I mean, he's going to post whatever he wants and has been. But yeah, maybe setting the tone a little bit. Thank you, Ice Maiden Knox. Hey, Glocky's here. Service members are getting shafted beginning tomorrow. Just another bill that was passed and signed into law. Those new premiums are going to hurt a ton of families, especially lower enlisted who rely on food stamps to make it. It's ridiculous. It's crazy that our military is relying on food stamps. Why don't they just give them what the illegals get? And they can eat everything for free. Thank you, Glocky. Hey, what's up? This one came in from Ravicus. Says, Happy New Year to all the Watching the Watchers family. Who are these people? Looks like a nice group of people, or an AI image. Are those Congress people? Happy New Year to you, Ravicus. Thank you for that. Happy New Year to you. I don't recognize these people. I thought this might be Kev, but he's not. It's not Kev. Is that you? Hey, what's up, Alice Elizabeth? Hi, all. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Alice. I hardly get on here, so I want to comment on something discussed weeks ago. You met a guy who was for right to work. Republicans need to decide if they are pro-union or not now. I hope they are pro-union. We really have nowhere to go as Democrats are pro-illegal immigration, which is terrible for unions. There appears to be an internal struggle in the Republican Party on this issue. Thanks for letting me offer this comment. Yeah, I'm not sure how that really breaks down, Alice. You might be seeing something that I'm not, but the people that we spoke to, the right to work people, were basically anti-union in a way, right? They're saying the unions are making it difficult for people to actually work and do certain things. And I'm not sure if there's a distinction in the Republican Party with private unions or like public sector unions, or if there's a distinction there. But I do appreciate the comment. Yeah, and I'm not sure if because we did talk to you're talking about the conversation at AmFest with the guy, the right to work lawyer. I think the Pacific Justice Institute, right? And he was fighting for people who were being discriminated against, I think, by unions for religious problems, for vax problems, and stuff like that. So you might also have good unions and bad unions. It might just depend on the domain and what they're advocating for. Like, I think the conservatives in general believe in free association, and the Republican Party believes in free association. And we certainly don't want, exploitation to happen. But are unions the right methodology to protect those interests? Because sometimes the unions, from my understanding, is they're just Democrat apparatuses, really, who just raise money for Democrats and give Democrats money. So in those situations, I'm not, it's hard to be pro-union in any sense of the term when they're just also giant bureaucracies that protect the lowest common denominator in their domains. Great comment, Alice Elizabeth. Would be fun to explore. I've never been a part of a union or been even union adjacent, so I don't have much personal experience with it. But, lawyers are kind of like the bar and stuff like that. We've got these licensing agencies, although it's not really unionized. But it's interesting, Alice. Thank you for the comment. I appreciate it. Lots to think about. Ravicus, did anyone see the Babylon Bee article calling Canada? Trump announces plan to annex Canada and rename it Gay North Dakota. Oh. Gay North Dakota. What did North Dakotans feel about that? Like, everything around us just got way gay. A lot gayer, for sure. Surrounded by gay North Dakota. All right. Hey, Cliff Norman says, this is a video with Hot Mike that caught Trudeau, Boris Johnson, and Macron joking about Trump. Boris is gone. Macron's in trouble. Trudeau's being mocked by his caucus and tourists, also soon to be gone. I saw that video, Cliff. That's a fun video. Yeah, they're all kind of mocking him. Like, they're saying, who does like an hour impromptu press conference? Because Justin Trudeau can't talk off the cuff. He's got to have his little scripted talking points. Sounds like it's off the cuff, but it's just, rehearsed garbage. So Trump does just a very quick, impromptu press briefing. And this is so unprofessional of him. They're all fired. Trump's back. Rick D. Yeah, because look how well it worked out for the European Union when you had like this North American trade agreement type thing happening here. Following the meeting, the mayor shared the following statement. Today, Team Trump and I had a great meeting to discuss our shared priorities. Mayor Muriel Bowser, wow, the woman who rejected the National Guard on January 6th, who's responsible for the protection of the city, says, here's a statement. Today, President Trump and I had a great meeting to talk about D.C., how we can impact this beautiful city. We discussed areas for collaboration between local and federal government, especially around our federal workforce, underutilized buildings, parks, and green spaces. I'm optimistic we'll continue to find common ground with the president during his second term, and we look forward to supporting a successful inauguration on January 20th. Well, so her tone has changed pretty dramatically. Glocky, we march north at dawn. We're going to overthrow the tyrannical crown that is Canada, and we are going to free Nova Scotia. It's going to be a nice hike there. Ravicus, Shades of the Past, where they talk about a trade corridor from Mexico to Canada. This is an article from 2020. My point is this has been in the works for a long time. By you mentioning passports triggered this memory. I remember back when Ron Paul ran in 2012 and they were pushing this. Yeah, they wanted like a North American trade union that was like the EU. We all went, what? Hey, Knox is here, says, would-be Trump assassin Ryan Ruth could face life in Florida for injuries to 6-year-old girl. What on earth is that? In a different case? Remember that guy? Warrant has been issued in connection with a traffic accident that gravely injured a 6-year-old girl during his attempted escape in December. Wow. Okay, so as he was fleeing the golf course scene, there was an accident and a 6-year-old girl got seriously injured. Wow. So, yeah, charge him with felony murder for that. Felony flight, reckless endangerment, someone gets injured, he caused that. Maybe charge him with, did she die? Attempted felony murder. Okay, there it is. With attempted felony murder. Wow. Interesting. Thank you, Knox, for that one. That's going to be an interesting one. Rick D, they have finally identified the burn victim that the illegals set on fire in New York City subway as a 61-year-old Dabrina Kawam. Thank you, Rick D, for that. May she rest in peace. That was a horrific situation. And more incompetence on display. Boopsie. Hey, remember all our hopes and fears during all of 2024. Here we are. Trump is headed to the White House in 21 days. Hallelujah. Amen to that, Boopsie. It was a lot, man. We were like on pins and needles all the way up through November 5th. But we did it. Knox says, hey, shoot, I got the day wrong too, Robert. This no court stuff, LOL. You lose track. Where am I? What day is it? What year is it? Happy Taco Tuesday, all. Happy Taco Tuesday to you, Knox. Oh, and Ravicus says, yes, Rob, I'm using Grok AI for the images. That's a nice image. It's a nice image. Yeah, Grok AI. It looks like good. Looks like fun people having a good time. Got a little diversity in there too. It's great. All right. So thank you for that. From Ravicus. All right. Thank you, Ravicus. All right, my friends, let's say hello to our friends on X. And then we are going to go over to locals to wrap it up for the day. We're going to hang out, debrief, of course. We're going to come back tomorrow. The first day of 2025. We're going to see what the day has in store. So thank you for subscribing and hitting the like button and joining us as we do all of that. Jim is here. Hey, what's up, Jim on X? Happy New Year, Rob. May 2025 be successful and prosperous for you and all the watchers. American Boomer says, you know, I've had it with the bad news. I'm turning the clock forward by 20 days. I've got high hopes. Trump is basically the president anyways. But yeah, it can't come fast enough. Gene says January is going to be exciting. We have the next Starship launch on J10, funeral for Carter, inauguration of Trump, and then confirmation hearings. It's going to be amazing. Miss Coffee says, in school, we used to get our names on the chalkboard all day. We also used to get demerits, which showed up in a special handwritten space on your report card, tallied up for parents to see. I always got nailed for talking too much. Satisfactory. I got satisfactory scores for my penmanship because I'm left-handed and they hated how I wrote it. And I got S's. I got E's. Excellent S's for penmanship. And I'll never forget it. Miss Coffee says, in school, we used to get our names on the chalkboard and says, I'm shocked they didn't blame Russia. They can only do so much Russia stuff, I guess. They're running out of Russia gas. All right, my friend. So it has been an absolutely beautiful stream. It's been an absolute pleasure and an honor to spend the last day of 2024 here together with you. I couldn't be more excited for 2025, and it's starting tomorrow. And we're going to be back here to see what the new year has in store for us. And so, my friends, I hope that you have something fun planned for the evening, or maybe you're going to bed early, whatever it is. We're putting a nice bow on the end of 2024, and very soon we have a new chapter afoot, and it's going to be amazing. We're just getting started here. We're going to enter a new golden age together, and we're going to have more success and fun and friendship than ever before, starting with our January 20th inauguration event. Get your tickets at watcherlodge.com. And so, my friends, once again, thanks for being here. Thanks for all the donos, the new membos, welcome aboard. And friends, it's been a pleasure. We're going to leave it there on the day. Happy New Year, my friends. We'll see you back here tomorrow to get into it again. I want to thank our amazing mods. Thank you, K-Bean. Thank you, Carrie B. Thank you, John McGarvey. Thank you, Donut Mind Me. And all of our friends out there who help make this thing work. We're coming back tomorrow for the very first show of 2025. And in order to do it appropriately, we're going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful day, my friends, and Happy New Year. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.